6:45, right on the nose. Hey, everybody, I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke here. We're going to talk about a range of things this evening. We've got you for at least about the next half hour here on Wave Weather Now, Louisville's only 24/7 weather live stream. We generate this here in-house, and we hope to serve you guys the best this evening with the latest on the radar, the storms we're going to see this evening and potentially overnight, the cooler air and lower humidity early next week, which sounds amazing, right? Especially after this morning's record low temperature. We'll talk about how that was a record here in just a moment. And of course, our 4th of July storm chances. So let's get right on into it. First off, it's our SkyTrack camera located in downtown Louisville looking west. And you'll notice that we've got some billowing cumulus on the left-hand side of that. That's likely from some of the storms in Meade County that you'll see here on the radar shortly. Hello to Doris Jensen here. She says, I hope we don't get any storms. It poured rain in Madison, Indiana just a little bit ago, and it's humid outside. Yes, the humidity today has been off the chain, out of control. High, and thankfully we get a break from that here at about 12 to 18 hours or so. So it's going to not take too long to get to that point. So let's take you to our temperatures. This tells the story here of the heat, of course. 92 here in Louisville right now. You'll see that it's a little cooler, though, up to our north and east, like Seymour, North Vernon. Those folks are in the 80s. Why so? It's rain-cooled air with storms that are moving into the Cincinnati area now. And when you factor in the humidity, it's ugly. Feels like 108 in Jeffersonville. And by the way, that sensor is located at the Clark County Regional Airport there. So that is one of those verified sort of serviced sensors there. Here in Louisville feels like 101. Fort Knox feeling like 102 degrees. We've got Ashley on here this evening. Hello, Ashley, good friend of ours here in the weather department. Let's see. Doris says, yes, it's awful. The humidity is terrible. We've got Jackson on YouTube saying, how's the 4th of July looking? The Euro and GFS are similar to each other in some ways, and that's in regards to the storms that Jackson's seeing there. We'll discuss that here in just a moment here. And, of course, Joseph is asking about any severe weather for Bardstown. While we can't answer individual town questions here because there's literally infinite places you could ask questions for, what we can say is that there's just a very minor chance for some stronger storms here as we go throughout the remainder of the evening. Most of the severe weather risk is to our north. I want to dial back the clock to this morning. 83 degrees here in Louisville was the low temperature. Now, that is so far today. If we get some storms closer to the sensor here in Louisville, we could potentially get below 83, and then that would be our new low temperature for this date. But if we are over the next 5 hours and, 12 minutes here, able to stay above 83 degrees, then today's 83-degree low temperature would go down as a record warm low temperature, meaning a low temperature that's warmer than the previous records before it, right? So with that 83-degree low temperature, we would usurp the 79-degree previous record set back in 1894. That's an old one. And perhaps more importantly, we would then tie for the record second, I should say, tie for the second warmest morning, second warmest low temperature here in Louisville's history going back to 1872. The record to beat overall would be 84 degrees set back in the 1930s. These record warm low temperatures, they seem minor, but they're kind of a big deal because they describe a couple of things here. One is the humidity. So you have to have really high humidity generally to get these record warm lows like this time of year. And two, it describes the urban heat island, of course, because it was much warmer in the city today than the outlying areas. We know that the urban heat island, the asphalt, the concrete here in Louisville has been getting worse over the past few decades. We're one of the fastest growing urban heat islands here in the country. So it also kind of describes that continues to be going on as well. So lots to do with, of course, the warmer than normal air that we're seeing around here lately when it comes to the urban heat island, including planting trees and trying to get that urban tree canopy back to where it should be so we can limit the impacts from that. Okay. Enough about the urban heat island. Let's talk about storms here. That's probably what you came here for. Storm chances going up here over the next few hours, going down a little bit by midnight, and then going back up as we head toward early tomorrow morning, closer to when the front passes through. We technically have a severe thunderstorm watch for Carroll County until midnight. I think the overall threat is low enough. And of course, you guys just had some storms in the vicinity not too long ago that I don't think this is going to be a big deal for Carroll County at all. That's the only county of ours in that watch at this time. So here's what you came here for. It's the Doppler radar view. I'm going to stop it and zoom into it here so that you can see exactly what's going on in your neighborhood here and give you a sense of exactly where these storms are located. So let's zoom in on areas closer to the Louisville metro. You see a couple of downpours, one near Dogwood, Indiana, another one near Shepherdsville. This is going to be really interesting to see if this one near Dogwood right here, should it track eastbound, it would get pretty close to the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport, which is about right there, if I can draw a tiny screen here. And should that rain-cooled air hit that sensor, we might get below 83 degrees. We'll see if that works out. That would kind of mess with that record low for this morning. Not that we're cheering for it, but just something to be tracking, of course. We do have another shower in northern parts of Shelby County at the moment. This is north of Shelbyville. None of this is severe, and these are really not even thunderstorms very much. We only have one lightning strike in the last 10 minutes in this radar view that you're seeing right here. So barely holding on to that thunderstorm designation. Hello, Lawrence County, Indiana. Near Bedford, got a couple of storm cells up that way that have really popped up here over the last little bit. These are splitting storm cells. So one is going to the north very quickly. Another one's kind of going east. Looks like the one that's traveling north right now is the dominant of the two. So that would likely track out of our area here pretty shortly. Of course, Lawrence County is a county that we serve here on Wave Weather Now and, of course, on social media. It may be technically outside of our TV market, but we want to make sure you guys at least have us here online. And then North Vernon, of course, you've got a downpour just east of the city of North Vernon in Jennings County at the moment. Bigger story has been what's been going on the I-74 corridor here today between Indianapolis and Cincinnati. In fact, I'll back up the radar a little bit here so you can see exactly what has transpired with these storms that have just rolled across there. There we go. And you'll see boom, boom, boom. It's just a big wind-driven line of storms that moved through Indianapolis and then now is moving through the Cincinnati metro area. They had 70-mile-per-hour winds on the warning there in Indianapolis earlier, and it has now regained that north of Cincinnati. So some tremendous wind energy with this. And what's interesting about these storms up in parts of the Cincinnati area is that they're starting to form a tail, which often happens, kind of a tail-end Charlie situation, right here along US 50 between North Vernon, Seymour, and the Bedford area. And with that tail, that's kind of a wind shift because of the rain-cooled air that's been escaping from those thunderstorms. We'll have some additional likely storm cells popping on the radar at times with this tail that's going to be moving sort of to the east and southeast here. I'll back it up and rock it forward here so you can kind of see that tail lighting off with some of those storms as they have been here over the last little bit. Let's see, we've got OGC Gamer on YouTube in the comment section. They're saying it's raining in Bullitt County. Yes, we just showed some of those downpours down there in Bullitt. We've got Brandon saying, I hope next Tuesday we have good weather because next Tuesday, lower humidity. I know it's 93 degrees. We'll have lower humidity on Tuesday, but the humidity will be rising through the day there, Brandon, as we continue to see the Gulf of Mexico moisture return to our area. The Lane says, I heard thunder in Fairdale. Not surprised by that with a couple of downpours that have moved just south of you there. You'll see one of those is in Bullitt County, another one in southern Harrison. And these are on life support. I think what's going on here, this is just kind of experience in meteorology talking here. What seems to be going on here is that we've got so much hot air over us. And in fact, the hot air is generally aloft. It's what's called a capping inversions going on. So with that hot air aloft, as the parcels of warm, moist air from the ground level try to rise and create thunderstorms, they run into hotter air aloft, and they can't go past that hotter air layer. So everything kind of sinks back down. And I think that's what's going on right now in parts of Harrison and Bullitt counties, is these little thunderstorms are kind of petering out as they move a little closer to the metro area. May still get some rain-cooled air that escapes from these into the metro and takes our temperature down a little bit. We'll see what happens right at the top of the hour. That may be approaching the city just in time to get that 7 p.m. Temperature observation there with some of that rain-cooled air involved. We'll see how low it goes. Probably not all that much. That's my guess at this point. So yeah, hearing thunder in Fairdale, no surprise there. Doris says, my yard needed rain, so good thing that we had the downpour earlier. Yes, my yard was turning all sorts of shades of brown here, and having some of that rain earlier this week really helped it out. Could use a little more. We all could, but we'll take what we can get this time of year. Let's see here. Hello from Shelbyville. Hello, Renee. Good to hear from you there in Shelbyville on Facebook. Marissa Mangold says, the humidity feels like you're breathing warm soup. It's gross. I went to the grocery store earlier today, and when I got out of the car, you go from the air conditioning to just absolutely wall of humidity. It was hard to breathe. I'll tell you that. It was really tough to get out of the car. You wanted to stay in the air conditioning, that's for sure. So that's kind of a look at the radar at the moment. So I'll kind of zoom this out so you can see a bigger picture of what's going on. Of course, that complex of thunderstorms now moving through the Cincinnati area. We have some additional pop-up storms happening in wave country. I don't believe the severe weather threat here in wave country is going to be very high at all with these. Most of these wind shear we would need for that is basically north and east of us. You see that tornado watch in western parts of Pennsylvania. Nothing like that around here. This is not the right setup for it. However, that cold front you see off to our north and west, this thing is awesome. This might be one of the greatest weather changes that we'll see for the entire summer. Once we get this thing through here, the humidity is going to drop like a rock tomorrow afternoon and evening. And you'll definitely feel a difference by Sunday afternoon, but you'll really feel a difference by Monday morning and Monday during the day, as temperatures will get down likely into the 50s Monday morning with highs only in the lower 80s. We'll show you that here in a minute. I mean, this is a fantastic cold front that's getting ready to move through here. That severe weather risk, by the way, is a 1 out of 5 marginal risk of severe weather for the remainder of the daylight hours and into tonight. I would really venture to say at this point that slight risk you see in yellow from Seymour to Madison, that's kind of done. That's over with. That's from that previous complex of thunderstorms that's now moving through Cincinnati. So you could probably trim the very western edge of this off, and that would include basically all of our counties in that yellow zone. So just pretend like, if you would please, that the marginal risk covers all 30 of our counties. And that happens every other day in the summer, essentially, here when you get these pop-up storms or a front trying to move through with not a lot of wind shear with it. It's basically any storm can get tall enough briefly to put out some damaging wind gusts and maybe some small hail, but that's about it. So we're not seeing any sort of organized severe weather threat around here. This is nothing like what we've had in the springtime. This really just is kind of something you'll probably forget in the next couple of days. That's how insignificant this is. I want to take you to Futurecast right now. This is the latest run of the HRRR short-range model for those weather geeks and nerds who are out there, especially on YouTube. I know there's a few of you out there. We like to air out your comments and discuss nerd talk with you too. Here's the deal. By 8 p.m., you'll notice we still have some of these downpours on the radar, some of these thunderstorms. I think it's running a little behind this model. I think it's about an hour-ish behind, because this is kind of what the radar looks like right now, and it's saying that 8 p.m. this will look like this. So just kind of take that in stride here, that this will likely be a little bit behind. So by probably about 9 p.m., this is what the radar would look like here. Still having some downpours and heavy rainfall issues north and east of Louisville. I don't think the storms will be as widespread as you're seeing right here. The HRRR has been kind of waffling back and forth on the intensity and coverage of storms here. By midnight, we could very well have a few storms along I-64. I think that's a pretty good bet this evening that we'll start to see these downpours a little closer to the 64 corridor here as that front starts to push in from the north. The front will still be way to our north by this time, by the way, but that'll kind of push the overall kind of wind shift of that convective complex or the line of storms now moving through Cincinnati far enough south to give us a chance to see a few pop-up storms here closer to the city. 5 o'clock in the morning, there is still a small downpour chance. I pegged it there about 20-30% because the front will then start moving a little closer to us. Front will really be moving through around noontime, so we could pick up still just a small shower or two south of the city Sunday around midday, but really the humidity decreasing is what we're really going to notice with that as that front moves through. This is 5 o'clock Sunday, 5 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be in the pleasant category of our sticky meter here, or our humidity tracker, if you will. And the humid part of this equation would be down in southern Kentucky by that point. So with this drier air moving in, it's going to feel like a fiesta outside. I mean, just amazing stuff. It's almost like a May throwback, if you will, where you get the sunshine without the heat and humidity. That'll be kind of tomorrow afternoon. Now, it'll still be quite warm, by the way, upper 80s, maybe touching 90 in a spot or two, but without the humidity, that takes the bite out of it. Monday is when the bona fide cooler air really gets in here, and that'll take our highs down to 82 degrees. So explore with me, if you would, for a minute, the prospect of Monday's high temperature at 82 degrees. Consider for just a moment that this morning's low temperature was 83. Monday's high temperature will be lower than this morning's low temperature, and without the humidity too. That's kind of cool. I love that. That's how big of a change this is going to be on Monday. Now, notice in the banner here, I said briefly. Yeah, it's brief, just because, I mean, we're heading into July, for pity's sake, right? We will see the heat, the humidity, and the storm chances return just in time for Independence Day. We had a question on YouTube a little earlier that we had the potential for, thunderstorms kind of midweek. How's that looking? Based on the latest data I've seen today, it looks like Wednesday's storm chance is the lower of the 2-day, kind of the start of the 2-day storm chance period here. And then Thursday, unfortunately, for the 4th of July would be the higher storm chance at 40%. Yes, that storm chance may go up because we'll have a front in the vicinity here and lots of warm, humid air for these storms to feed off of. So here's the deal. What we've been telling people starting on sunrise today is it is not time to cancel your 4th of July plans. We are still several days plus out from this, all right? What it is time to do is to start thinking about alternates. Start putting contingency plans in the back of your head here. What will you do if it storms a good chunk of the day on Thursday? Will you have an indoor party? Will you take folks into your dining room, your living room, serve your hot dogs and burgers there? Will you have to go to another location? Keep that in your mind. Ruminate over that for a little bit here for the next 24, 48 hours. As we get closer to time and we get more high resolution data in here, my hunch is that this won't be as bad as it looks. So keep that in mind. Usually when we get closer to these events in the summer, it's not for as long of a duration that we see these storms as some of the longer range models say that will be. And typically the coverage isn't quite as bad. But with the setup, we may see 40, maybe even 60% storm chances in here for the 4th of July. Now, there's a little bit of good news on this forecast. The weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, looks a lot drier and maybe a little cooler, like a touch cooler. And that would be fantastic because a lot of folks are having their 4th of July festivities the next weekend. So not this weekend, but next weekend. And that forecast looks pretty good. A lot of neighborhood events going on, a lot of company picnics maybe going on. That would be possibly next weekend when some of these are happening. So that forecast looks okay. So not all is lost. Speaking of that next weekend, by the way, this is kind of an earliest alert or kind of, far ahead forecast here. The Madison Regatta is taking place a week from today, and the Railbird Yard Festival happening there as well. And the music festival, I should say, up there with the Madison Regatta. I don't know what I just said. But you'll see there that temperatures are in the 80s with a small shower chance and partly sunny skies. We'll take it. And that's the forecast for Madison, not just for our whole viewing area, but for Madison up there. All right, I want to get you updated real quick on the latest that we have when it comes to our first hurricane of the season in the Atlantic. And this is Hurricane Beryl, 75-mile-per-hour winds, Category 1 storm moving west at 22 miles per hour here. So we will, of course, track this storm right on in, unfortunately, to areas just south of the Greater Antilles here. And yes, it may very well make landfall, one of the Lesser Antilles Islands, a little closer to Monday afternoon here as a potential Category 3 hurricane, which would be a major hurricane with winds potentially, we're topping 130 miles per hour potentially here. You see the hurricane watches and hurricane warnings for some of those Lesser Antilles Islands and the Windward Islands there of the Caribbean. We'll watch that very closely, of course, throughout the week, because that could become an evolving weather story here nationally and internationally. By the way, Beryl is the second name of the 2024 hurricane season here. And you'll see that we've got Chris after that, which I feel like every other person is named Chris or Christopher. So this is your time to shine, guys. Once we get that next storm name, the C name is Christopher this year. Debbie, Ernesto, Francine, Gordon, I think that's a French Hélène, Isaac, Joyce, Kirk, Leslie, Milton, Nadine, Oscar, Patty, Raphael, or Raphael, depending on how you pronounce that, Sarah, Tony, Valerie, and William. Just a note here that most of these names are English, but they put in the list every year at least one or two names each that are Spanish or French, because Spanish, French, English, those are the three major languages in the Western Hemisphere in the Atlantic Basin here. Thought that was interesting. A little hokey weather fact action for you on a Saturday evening. All right, I want to get you to the 10-day earliest alert. Then we'll go over a few comments before we leave you here in just a moment's time. You'll see that, of course, Monday is obviously the winner. 82 degrees, 50s to near 60 degrees in the morning on Monday. Everybody else go home. It's too bad. That is a work day for so many of us. Wish we could have that happen on a Sunday. If we could accelerate this weather pattern by about a day, that would help us out. Here we go for Wednesday into Thursday. Of course, Thursday is the 4th of July, 40% storm chance. We just discussed that at length. Again, don't cancel your plans for the 4th of July just yet, but start having a plan to do something indoors, depending on how long this storm chance is going to stick around for and the intensity and the how widespread these storms are going to be. Just keep that in mind here. It's just still a few days out. Still got some time to make some changes here. Timing is still kind of at odds with the accuracy of how this is going to play out. Wednesday storm chance, the lower of the two, Thursday and Friday, a little bit higher at 40%. And then that next weekend looking great, highs in the upper 80s with smaller storm chances here. So this is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. Something you'll want to note, though, is how dry this looks. So like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, those are stormy days. But like before and after that, there's like virtually no decent storm chance here. And the Climate Prediction Center is sort of kind of keying in on that when their 8 to 14-day precipitation outlook here. You'll see that the chances for above normal precipitation are to our south and east. We're kind of at the highest chance of seeing just normal precip around here. And then to our north and west would be kind of drier than normal. So we'll see how that shakes out, because even though we've had some beneficial rains, unfortunately, much of southern Indiana is in a drought right now. We may see that drought status spread to other places here as we go through time if we don't get any decent widespread rains. But this Wednesday, Thursday, Friday deal may offer us some hope. I'm going to go back to the radar, get to a few of your comments, concerns, questions, complaints, whatever's in the inbox here, and then we'll bid you farewell for the evening here. We've been on for just over 20 minutes here. All right, here's some of your comments. Okie dokie. The Ohio Valley Storm Chasing YouTube account, Jason Hamilton, says, really nice. My birthday is next Saturday and I'm turning 44, so I hope it's pleasant. Yeah, that's a pretty good looking day there. I would want to turn 44 on a day like that. Looks awesome. Good question here. This is the Joss and Friends show on YouTube, talking about our Twisters promotion. I should really talk more about that. In fact, I'm going to bring up this graphic here while we're talking about it here, because I neglected to put that in. I don't typically work on Saturdays here, so I'm a little out of sorts if you can't tell. This is a little different for me. I haven't done this in a little bit here. Let's get this information up. Okay, if you are a fan of the movie Twister from 1996, there is a standalone sequel coming out this summer. on July 19th. Well, we're weather nerds here with the Wave Storm Tracking Team, right? We all saw the movie, pretty close to 1996, just about all of us. But we wanted to give you guys a way to potentially win chances or tickets to see this film before it's actually released. So what we did was we partnered up with Xscape Theaters. So they've got 2 theaters in our area. It's a locally run movie theater chain. We had no idea before we did this that they're actually owned by Patoka Capital here in the greater Louisville area. So Xscape Theaters is a local theater chain. How cool is that? So they've got Xscape Blankenbaker 16 and Xscape Jeffersonville 12, 2 movie theaters. So what we've done is we said, hey, can we partner up with you guys and offer some of our viewers a special pre-screening on July 17th? They said yes. So we are giving away 2 free tickets. So per winner, 2 free tickets. Includes a popcorn and a drink for each person too, which is kind of fantastic. So it's like a ticket package, if you will, here to attend special pre-screening showings of this film, Twisters, which is the standalone sequel to Twister, on July 17th, a couple days before it officially premieres. So what we are going to do is pick several winners from each theater. So like when you sign up to potentially win in this contest, when you enter to win, you pick your theater, either Blankenbaker, which is in J-Town, of course, on 64 Blankenbaker, or in Jeffersonville, pick your theater, and we're going to pick a number of winners from each theater. We have not completely decided yet on the number of tickets being given away. I know at least initially here, it's 100 per theater. All right, so at least 200 winners. We'll see if we can get more than that. That's all I'll say right now. There's some things happening behind the scenes. Hopefully we can get more than that. But right now, that is what we are looking at as those talks continue. So this is a really awesome opportunity. Yes, we will be out there. We'll have all the Wave Storm Tracking Team kind of fanned out among both theaters. We'll be doing newscasts live from both theaters as well, from both Blankenbaker, and then I'll be at Jeffersonville. So you have a chance to not only see this movie early, but meet us and possibly be on TV because we'll be, broadcasting live from either theater. So really awesome opportunity. If you'd like to enter, scan this QR code here. I know a lot of us are on like mobile devices, so that's kind of tough to do, obviously, when you're watching something on a screen and then have to go to a QR code link. So all you need to do is just go to wave3.com/contest, hit the big button you'll see in the middle of the screen there once you go there, and that's how you'll enter. It's a really awesome opportunity to see a special pre-screening event of the Twisters movie on July 17th. All right, that's my sermon about the Twisters movie. Love, love, love that we're able to host this opportunity with Xscape Theaters for this kind of twice in a lifetime opportunity. The second Twister movie, I should say, Twisters, coming out this summer. Completely different cast, by the way, I believe, on that one. So if you're looking for throwbacks to the original movie, I don't think they're really going to have too much in there about that. But it looks good. The previews look good. It's definitely an updated version of Twister for storm chasing in the social media and live streaming age, with all the characters that you currently see out there storm chasing in the planes. Some of them are quite famous. This is kind of a caricature of that from what I've seen in the preview. So this will be interesting. I'm curious to see the movie. Okay, more of your comments, then we'll get off of here. Let's see here. Angela says, got home from some errands. It was 60 degrees in the car. Got home, got out, my glasses steamed up. Oh my gosh, yeah. That big difference between the air conditioning and being outside. Your glasses are cold. The outside air is hot and moist. So that air that's hitting your glasses cools to the dew point or I should say the glasses being at that temperature is well below the dew point of the air outside. So as that warm, moist air hits your glasses, it condenses out and boom, you've got foggy glasses. So that's how that works there. Doris says, no, don't like them tornado movies. I get it, Doris. It's not for everybody, but we got a lot of weather nerds on here. OGC Gamer is asking, when are you announcing the winners? I believe, let me look at my calendar. And this is, again, the Twisters contest. Don't hold me to this. Oh, brother, when are we announcing the winners here? I think it's the week of the 8th is when we're announcing the winners here. So you'll find out the week of the 8th the official contest rules and such, all the legalese, that's on that webpage. If you go to wave3.com/contest, click the contest button. It's real big. You can't miss it. And then, you'll get to see all of that information on there as well. But that is kind of the putting a pin in the Twisters contest promotion that we're running here. OGC Gamer is asking, when will it be in the lower 80s? Monday is your day. Tracy says, is that storm in Bedford doing anything? Let's zoom in on it, shall we? We'll give you a final kind of radar tour here before we mop things up for the rest of the evening. And there's Bedford. It's not just a storm, but it's multiple storms, multiple little storm cells really up there. And these really aren't doing much more than putting down just some very heavy rain at times and the occasional lightning strike here. That's about it. You can see that one just north of Avoca, Indiana at the moment. These guys probably aren't going to do much. There's just not a whole lot of wind shear. They're splitting apart. They're having trouble growing upscale to a point where they would be organized with severe weather. And then we've got the storm with a couple of lightning strikes here, 3 to be exact, in the last 10 minutes near North Vernon. That'll probably move into North Vernon proper. So congratulations, North Vernon. You're going to get some rain here. You need it. You're in a drought. Won't be long lasting, but boy, every drop matters in a situation like this. And then back down here toward Louisville, where the air is a little hotter, especially aloft. Not as much of a storm coverage here. We're also a little farther from that cold front. So kind of 2 strikes against us, getting widespread storms here. I did talk about that 7 o'clock hour observation, I should say, at the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. That came in at 92 degrees. So no rain-cooled air from that stuff down a little closer to Bullitt County and then earlier in Harrison County. That air really didn't make it much to Louisville. So womp, womp. Not much of a cool down from that there. And we do have one storm that's starting to pop up a little bit better. Last radar scan here. This is a little closer to Eastview, Kentucky, just southwest of E-Town and Cecilia. This is getting ready to cross the Western Kentucky Parkway here. Boom, that's what it looks like. The last couple of scans has really gone nuts here. This is near St. Paul, just north of there. Don't think this is going to do much either. This will probably look like this for about 2 or 3 scans, then it'll start to pulse downward and not be that big of a deal and turn into what you see over Bullitt County now, which is just a couple of green specks with the occasional yellow dot. So this is not the biggest storm setup for us today. Best chance of storms in the near term in the next hour or so is going to be near the US 50 corridor from Bedford to Seymour to North Vernon and Butlerville, Indiana. Let's see if we've got any more comments before we get off of here. Let's see. The Joss and Friends Show on YouTube says, that's my grandma's birthday. She hopes to win the contest. Well, happy pre-birthday to her. Hopefully she wins, and hopefully we'll get to meet her at one of the Escape Theaters, either in Jeffersonville or off Blankenbaker Parkway here in Louisville, technically in J-Town. All right, guys, it is 7:16. We are coming up here on we are now over half an hour into this broadcast here, and it looks like we've kind of settled everybody's questions about the evening here. If you're just joining us super late and I'm getting ready to get off of here, just know that these storm chances are low this evening, 20 to 30% during the overnight. I'm popping those up so you can see them here. These storms likely will not be severe. There could be a stronger 1 or 2 with some very gusty winds and very heavy rain briefly. But so far, that main potential looks to be off to our north and east, a little closer to the Cincinnati, Columbus, and Dayton, Ohio area, as you'll see here on the radar that's getting ready to pop up once this computer loads. And there it is. You'll see that that's the main area of concern to our north and east this evening, but additional thunderstorms are possible. We will, of course, be keeping an eye on them through the evening and let you know on the Wave Weather app if there are any issues in your location, because we can always send those custom push notifications to your place. Just make sure you tap that follow me button there on the Wave Weather app for your location so that it will always give you the alerts for where you are currently positioned. All right, guys, that's it for now. I'm Wave Storm Tracking Team Meteorologist Ryan Hoke. I will see you back here for Wave News at 11 tonight. I continue to fill in for Carson Meredith, who's on a much-needed bout of time off for the rest of the weekend. I'll see you back here at 11. Good night, everybody.